merging the AV and the IT folks together. The picture in front of you is actually the active learning classroom as it looks today. The topics today are the project context, collaboration with partners, which is was very important for the success of this project. So successes and challenges, and there were many. Design and media features, scaling up, and next steps. And I've left time for discussion and questions at the end, but please feel free throughout my presentation to ask any questions you would like or have. So the context. The project started January 2012, and it ended just before the fall term in September. It's 8 months, 8-month project. The interesting thing though is in January we were still looking for funding. February, March we started putting a plan together, working more with physical resources on some concepts and layouts, and listening to the faculty, and listening to the departments on what they wanted. And oh yes, we also had Congress 2012 we were co-hosting, so that threw a big monkey wrench in April and May. So we had to stop the project, and we picked it up again in June. So for the IT side, we really dedicated resources for the month of June and July, and we were finished the first week of August. And from there, we were able to test the equipment and start training faculty for the first term in the fall. The partners, it's interesting, I saw a session, I believe it was Monday, titled Build It and They Will Come. And I was going to name this session Build It, They Will Come. And I know if IT had built this by themselves, nobody would have touched it, nobody would have wanted to have ownership of it. So anyways, I changed the title. And these are the people that actually made this happen. The funding came from the Faculty of Arts. Some funding came from the academic side, the VP of Academics. Teaching Support Services also pitched in and funded the project. Physical resources, when we dive into the pictures, certainly came up and had some good proof of concepts that they had been wanting to implement in the classroom. And same with IT. IT, we've wanted to put our stamp on a classroom, and especially this was actually the first attempt since the merger of IT and MTR, the AV department together, that we actually could do something different. Sorry if anybody has a weak stomach, there's a couple slides in here, I'll try to give you a bit of a warning. The pedagogy of things. I think the most important element for IT at Laurier was asking the question, what do you want to do in this classroom? How do you want to use it? Loaded question. We received so many different answers. We talked about, well, we want to be able to move the desks around. One faculty liked that idea, the other faculty said, well, who's going to put them back at the end of the class? So there was a lot of give and take, push and pull. So what we ended up doing is we took what everybody agreed upon, and that's what we implemented in the classroom. So the pedagogy was there. It was still difficult and challenging on the IT front. So what does this mean? What is active classroom really going to do for anybody? The research certainly indicates the greater student engagement, and that's I have witnessed personally. I've sat in classrooms. I've seen the students use the equipment, the IT equipment, and I've seen faculty use it. Greater student engagement, great retention of material because they're engaged. They're certainly, I think that's a given. Higher levels of learning and greater satisfaction with the learning experience. The Teaching, Learning and Support Services Department put out a survey last fall and winter. The survey is varied. You can actually see, I can do a blind survey and you can pick which was the worst term and which was the best. The worst term was really September for the survey, meaning that we didn't leave enough time for training the faculty or getting in front of the students. While they liked the technology, they were just nervous using it. and it's a brand new room, so of course there was glitches. But certainly, I think one of the comments that resonates with me was from a student, and it's all anecdotal, of course, but I'll take the student's word for it. The student said they took the course in a normal classroom and didn't do well. Then they took the same course in the active learning classroom and did really well. I'm going with that. I'm going to say it's the technology. That's it. It was not the student's ability. Some of the successes, a lot of this is all around collaborating with different departments, and it technically is up there twice. So, we were able to sit in front of the faculty. We were able to sit in front of the departments, physical resources, teaching support services, and in front of you folks. We got out, we were able to talk with different universities throughout Ontario. Folks came in to see the room, and I think that really was a byproduct of a successful story. Not one unit had buy-in. Well, first off, IT had no money, and we just wanted a successful project would be a good example. Proof of concepts. I wanted to put in as much new technology into the room, not to be on the bleeding edge, but certainly proving that if we needed to retrofit a classroom, we could take ideas from the active learning classroom and put it into a normal standard classroom. We also are looking at building a new building, the Global Innovation Exchange building, which we'll talk about later on. But I wanted to then start building the trust of the faculty throughout the course of the next 2 years on when we select technology for them, they'll already have an understanding that yes, they can use it and how to use it once they get into the new building. Students, faculty satisfaction, mixed reviews, certainly all positive, but like I stated, the fall term, there were glitches. Let's just we'll leave it at that. The winter term went really, really well. And if anybody would like to see the survey results, if you go to wlu.ca active learning classroom, that's where a lot of the information, you'll be able to find more information. And the survey document should be up this week or next week. Or you can simply email me at gwlu.ca and I can forward it on to you. Challenges, faculty buy-in. I think that had to go up there no matter how you looked at it. We have a brand new interactive classroom with 6 projectors in there, and they were nervous. I remember vividly the first class that one faculty was teaching. She had the students utilizing the equipment really well. When she wanted to turn all the projectors on, it would be great to have some equipment hooked up to her because she was shaking so much. She was wanting to push a button and she was shaking, and she pushed the button and it worked, and you can sort of see that relaxed feeling and the stress go away. Ongoing training and support. I think this, for me, was the biggest miss. Knowing that we had to train and we had to support, those were easy statements, and we knew that. I didn't know how much. We now, at the beginning of every semester, we look at the schedule for the IT department. We actually have one person, one technician at the 10 minutes before the class starts, and she stays there until approximately 10 minutes after the class starts, just for the confidence for the faculty. The third term now this fall, the faculty will have more confidence, but nothing goes wrong, but they still want somebody there. And it's an easy 20 minutes of our time to give back to the faculty. Technology synchronization. That's what I came up with. That covers the synchronization of the projectors in the classroom, the switching, the flexibility of switching. We put in an Extron Matrix switcher that allows us to switch independent images on independent projectors, or one image on all 6 projectors. Synchronization. It was still synchronizing the new employee technical support department with the back office folks, the network folks, and I'll explain that in more detail in a minute. Synchronization of vendors. I explained to two vendors when we were putting this out for a quote what I wanted to do, and they both pretty much looked at me and said, why? Why do you want to do this? And after giving my explanation, we got a good quote, and by the time the project was finished, they understood. So it was really synchronizing everybody I spoke with on what we actually wanted to do. Some of the design decisions, I think when you read the survey, the main point that the faculty and students want to make to us was the round tables. You could take the technology out, and they were happy with the round tables and the chairs, the swivel chairs, the wheels, low technology, but that's what they like. The students really like the chairs. I then argue, well, if you want a round table and you want chairs, then you need more projectors because you will always be turning around in your seat. We also upgraded the wireless system. We wanted to make sure that every device that was brought in to the classroom was on the same network. So we opted for the wireless network. And that's it. Interactive projectors. Once again, we wanted to go with something that was low cost, that we really didn't want to see 6 or 7 pipes hanging from the ceiling. So what we ended up doing is we purchased 5 interactive projectors and 1 ceiling mounted projector for the room. The interactive projectors, they're Epson, interactive software, teamboard software. It's a free download, so it was easy enough to put on the computers in the classroom, as well as give the software to the students or direct them to the location for the download. Huddle boards, carpet, and paint. Does everybody know what a huddle board is? It's actually a whiteboard. Of course, I'm in the room with chalkboards. So it's a whiteboard, and it's about 1.5 pounds, I believe, of weight. They're approximately 2 by 3 feet, and they're light enough that you can pick up. They hang on a wall or in a cabinet. You can actually pick them up, bring them back to the round table, or to any table for that matter, and huddle around it and whiteboard your ideas. I'll show you a quick picture once we get back to them. Carpet and paint. This is really where physical resources stepped up. They had the freedom to pick the colors and the paint for the walls and obviously the carpet. And now my son thinks the carpet looks like Minecraft, the creeper off of Minecraft. If anybody's ever played that game, you'll see a couple. So that's what it actually looks like. It's all pixelated, so it was kind of fitting with the room. But once again, people like the colors they walk in, and it's engaging. It's not sterile, and they're really happy with it. And the carpet obviously makes it a lot easier for the chairs to wheel around and not marking up the floors. Movement in space. Once again, another phrase. We wanted to make sure the students can move around in the room without tripping over things. And we also wanted to make sure faculty felt comfortable enough knowing that there was no front of the room. Once you put 6 projectors in a room and you can use any projector you want, there's really no front of the room. It's where you decide to stand. Another interesting point, faculty did not want to have their backs to the students, which then ruled out a console in the center of the room. So we ended up opting for a console off to the side, but yet we can move the console from left or right hand side of the classroom, whatever the faculty actually want. So we're going to talk about the before pictures and the after pictures. So this is the before picture. What does this classroom say to you? Anybody? Pretty generic, pretty sterile, no color, low tech. You can still see the overhead projector right there. It's great. And it's one purpose, single purpose. You're literally going in, you're taking notes, and the only interaction you're going to get or you feel you can do is with the faculty. Here's the interactive classroom that we've built. And before I go on, I'd like to point out some features. So can everybody see the red pointer? Hopefully. So there's the interactive projectors. They are Epson. I'll talk a bit about more of them about that later. One of the faculty wanted to be able to say, or didn't want to say, the table over here and the table over there. They suggested that we get colored tables, yellow tables and red tables, and of course then physical resources. Said no, that's not going to look very attractive. And, I'm sure there's some feng shui that we need to talk about. I suggested that we color the controllers on the tables. So the controllers are there, they're extron controllers. What they do is they allow the students to switch, or people at the table switch whatever image they want to see. And I'll talk about that in a second. So what I ended up doing is, if we talk about this table back here, this table is table number 1 and it's yellow. And this table corresponds to this projector. Each table conceptually is one classroom. So whatever you can do in one classroom, you can do at that table. And the projector actually has a little yellow sticker on it, so there's it's easy to recognize which projector is which. We also, once they're started up, we labeled desktop, and it's a yellow number 1. So when you're standing in front of the room, you can look around and you can see which projector you're actually on. The other interesting issue we had before we did that is, if all the desktops are the same, and you switch the image, you do not know which image you're actually viewing from which computer, because there's 6 computers in that room. So by having the number on the desktop, it gives you a fighting chance. And you can see the console. It's a small console, and it's movable. We can take this console. I'm plugging 1 power cable and 2 network cables from this location, and you can actually see the floor click here and move over here. Getting back to the round tables and how that's what students and faculty like. They like the round tables, they like the chairs. I argued that, well, if you like that, then you need projectors. You need more than 1 projector in the room, because you'll be always turning, looking at that one screen. So I think those go hand in hand. So if you're going to have round tables, you need more than 1 projector. I'm not prescribing by any means that you need 1 projector per table. I would only assert that you need more than 1 projector on the wall. Oh, I forgot to warn you. Sorry, I'm doing a little spin there. On the main console unit, this is the extron controller. And we tried to make it as simple for faculty as possible. Here I talked about the yellow table, table number 1. Well, there's a yellow button for table number 1. These buttons over here are for the pods. These buttons here are for the console. So if we walk up to the console and we plug in the HDMI cable and push the HDMI button, if I want to send my signal, my image that I have up on the main projector around to the room, I would push number 6, because that's the 6th console. If I give an assignment out to the students, and I can actually give you a good scenario for this, one of the faculties, it was a French course, they had, the faculty gave a simple sentence in English to the students. The students were able to type up the message on the computer. They then had to translate that English statement to French, and then the students had to present their results. From there, the faculty was able to, as the students went through each presentation, the faculty was actually able then to display the image on all 6 projectors. And that's as simple as pushing the 6 button and the yellow button, and the image is all the way around the room on all 6 projectors. As they went from table or pod, the faculty just literally has to push 1 button, and everybody can see what the table presented. The realization, some of the technology features, the realization for me was we now can retrofit some of the rooms. So the instructor's console had, and you can see the monitor there, the instructor's console, the monitor, you can move it any way you would like. It's a touchscreen monitor. That was important because retrofitting classrooms for us we just can't put an Epson short throw or any short throw on any wall anywhere. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to show the faculty that with a touchscreen monitor and with the Teamboard software, you can take a classroom like this and make it interactive for yourself. So you can put up an image, and by touching the screen in the Teamboard software, you can annotate over top of the image, and that meant we can retrofit. I think the byproduct now that we see Windows 8 coming out, once we get there, the touchscreen in classrooms is going to be more valuable because of the OS itself. But that was very important. So we can now retrofit classrooms with the interactive software, and faculty feel comfortable with that. Oops. So as I stated earlier, on the individual tables themselves, the Extron controller is a 4-button controller. The students themselves, the people at the table, have a little control. They have a guest connection, they have a house laptop, and they also have the instructor's button, meaning that if they want to have 2 computers hooked up to the table and switch back and forth between those 2 computers, they can. If they want to see what the faculty has or the presenter has on the main screen, they can actually push the bottom button, and they'll actually be able to see the image. We put that there just in case faculty forgot to project the image on. So each table, once again, and this is what we have in our classrooms, each table is its own little classroom. Talk about the short throw projectors. We selected Epson just because that's what we had for this room. That's what we had on campus originally, and I wanted to be consistent with the making model. The features of the Epson, I don't know if anybody's used them yet, or Sony has a good product as well. But the features with the Epson is really main features that I like. They're quiet. They don't give off a lot of heat. You're not blinded by the light of the projector for the ceiling mounts. And the cost of ownership after the fact, the life of the lamp is almost doubled in some instances, and the cost of the lamp, you're talking anywhere, the Epson is $80 to $100, and the cost of another projector is anywhere from $300 to $600, depending on the size. So, and the quality of the lumens of the Epson versus the other projectors that we put in the room, it is very low. So that being the active learning classroom, where the merger fits in is in this next step. I was able, because we're now the IT department, I was able to negotiate taking as much technology out of the classroom in case it breaks and putting it in a co-location with the infrastructure folks. So I was able to take all of the matrix switcher, all the HDMI connections out of the classroom and put them into a back room. If anything now breaks, I don't have to wait for the class to be over. I can go fix it immediately, and I can have a better, a quicker outcome. I can tell you a story about an amplifier. Class is being used from 8 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. each day, Monday to Friday. I can't get in there until Saturday to even look at the problem. Do that on a Saturday, rip it out, send it to the manufacturer, or purchase a new one, and I have to wait till the next Saturday to get in to put it back into the classroom. So 2 weeks could go by before I'm able to fix and repair the device. So by having everything in the telecom closet is very, very nice. The other byproduct of this, which we'll see in the new building, is if a classroom is in use and another classroom goes down, if the classroom is in use and goes down and another classroom decided it's not in use, I would be able to switch the cabling from one classroom to another classroom and get it up and running, as long as, of course, the computer and the projector that's stuck in the room still works. That's the only variable. Scaling up. There's a lot of numbers going around on how much square footage students should have for in-class sessions. I've heard numbers anywhere from 0.6 of a meter for a standard classroom, all the way up to 1.4 of a meter for an active learning classroom. we looked at it the other way. We can't move the walls, retrofitting the classroom, so we went in and we did it the old-fashioned way. We actually put the tables and chairs in the room and said, yeah, this looks good. We then brought that back to a drawing and said, let's make sure mathematically it works out, and it does work out. The active learning classroom, however, we took a 50-seat classroom and it was reduced down to 40 seats. So we actually lost 10 seats, which is not, it's not what we wanted, but it was our first attempt at it. And like I said, we couldn't move the walls. If we have the opportunity, which you'll see in a second, if we have the opportunity to build an active learning classroom before the walls go up, things change. We look at a classroom where we could increase the capacity from 50 seats up to 75 seats if we have the ability to move one wall. Retrofitting existing space, I talked about that. I think because you can't move walls, for example, in this room here, if you took out the floor, you're not going to increase capacity. So I wouldn't prescribe that. I wouldn't prescribe active learning classrooms in every scenario. I think they have to be selected wisely. The Global Innovation Exchange Building. The traditional, when we started the building a year and a half ago, we were looking at traditional 75-seat case study seating seats, and that's on the left. That's what we're going to use for the Global Innovation Building. And you can see, traditionally for Laurier, we have one, maybe two projectors in front of the room, and students would be able to face each other and go look at the track. Putting these rooms side by side, we took a 75-case seat classroom. We can make it an active learning classroom and increase seating capacity up to 80. I don't know if we'll increase it by 80. I think another fact is the research shows that a group size from 4 to 7 is preferred. And 2, 4, 6, we've got it up to 8. So I don't know if we need 80 seats, but those are options, and I think that's what we're really trying to give to the faculty as options. So that with the global new building, GIE, we will be building in 2 active learning classrooms. And we also have another project on the way right now where we will be building in another active learning classroom. Once again, we're trying to figure out where the funding is going to come from. Once that happens, then we'll meet with the faculty and go through our process. And now I open it up to you folks. Are there any questions? Do we have anything to talk about?
What kind of like what kind of use case, I guess, happens in this classroom? This one, you've got a presenter, screen. How would the students use it?
So in the current active learning classroom, the departments, the Faculty of Arts initiated the project, and the departments or the faculty that are in there using it right now. Languages. We're trying to get science in. We're trying to get the School of Business in. They will be in this fall. The interaction for students, I think that's being developed. When we started last August with the training, I was kind of concerned. The faculty said, wait a minute, I have to revamp my whole lesson plan for this room. And we said, well, no, we don't want you to revamp your whole lesson plan. We want you to take the technology after you learn how to use it and superimpose it into your lesson plan. So some of the ideas that have come out, certainly great from the one I've already given you, where they've used it for the language, for the French translation. And a segue to that would be, or an extension of that, is after they translated it in-house, they actually went up to Google and used Google and Bing's translation, read live. And I know the faculty said I would have had to do that, and it would not have been in that interactive section. Looking at the School of Business, I can see. I'm actually excited to see what they're going to, how they're going to use it. but I can certainly see how, for the stock trading portion of the course where they're going to have a ticker going by, they're going to be in a trade with the interactive software. They can actually take a snapshot on the screen and mark up where they were into the trade, where they got out of the trade, and so on and so forth. So a couple examples like that. I think like every new technology, though, faculty learners are apprehensive on how to use it. They don't want to be embarrassed in front of students. One of the survey results said it was embarrassing watching the faculty flounder through the first attempt. And I get that. I mean, double-edged sword, good for them trying, but maybe we should do a bit more training for they were putting that situation. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, sort of. And just the absent projector you're talking about, is there a specific wall or?
How about I tell you the features, and then I like giving options versus saying this is what I would suggest. Epson literally just came out with a new, and I'm not an Epson rep by any means, it's just what we started with. Epson just 3 weeks ago came out with a new model, and it's certainly for the corporate side, but it gives you a split screen, so you can have 2 inputs on at the same time, so you can have HDMI, VGA, or video conferencing, and the shared desktop. Also, it comes with a wireless device, so you can actually connect with an iPad and whatever device you want. I would recommend, I think it's the 855 model and up, and higher educational pricing. So the pricing is anywhere from $1,700 to $2,400. So it's fairly inexpensive versus ceiling mounted projector.
We also have a few questions on the screen recording.
So number one is the room available for drop-in student groups. That's actually a good question. It was suggested that the room, only because there's technology, carpet, and it's brand new, it was suggested by the faculty, the department, I should say, that it be secured. So what we ended up doing is we're a one-card campus. So what we ended up doing is we put a card swipe on the front of the door, and the only people that have access are the faculty teaching in that room. So it's not used for drop-in. The faculty, if they want to allow their students in, can go open up the room for them if it's reserved and allow the students in, but it's not open to the general public. Ballpark costs for the room. I can. So all the technology in the room was brand new, and I did fail to mention because it wasn't in my picture. I used the wrong picture. We also purchased a video conferencing unit for this room, which is really cool because once you hook up the video conferencing unit, you can then broadcast that signal and the shared desktop to all 6 projectors, and it's a great video game, by the way, too. It's cool. So yes, we've got a Cisco video conferencing unit. It's a portable one, so we can actually move it wherever we'd like in that room. And all in, we paid $75,000 for the technology. Are there any other questions in the room?
So earlier mentioned there's no single unit budget for buying it. So what is the long-term plan?
Well, that's the great thing about higher education. I find that we're great at planning, and the cost of ownership needs to lie somewhere. We have already worked that into our evergreen, the class, the media computer evergreen program, and we've got we're on a 5-year cycle, so we've already put that classroom in to that program. And I chuckle because that's where I'm at right now with the new building. That's great. We're building a new building. There's going to be X amount of classrooms and media rooms. Where does that fit into an evergreen plan? And I don't have that answer, but for this classroom, I do. The more we build, though, we certainly will have to increase our evergreen budget. That's for sure. Question.
Would you consider chairs where there'd be more space for a student to put things like backpacks underneath?
We have, and I generally can answer these questions. We did look at I think it was 4 different chair models, and I had nothing really to say. I had some input that I liked and that were comfortable. But we went to the students, and the chair I believe you're referring to, we did demo. We've got another department, faculty of education, they're demoing the chairs as well. The base is a bit wider, and it didn't allow us to get 8 chairs around that table. So if we went to 6 or 7 chairs, I think that would have worked. But in this case, we did go to that. But we did demo them and test them. And I think if we do another one, we'd probably look at that because that would be one of the complaints. Where do you put in the wintertime? Where do you put your backpacks, your drinks, and so on and so forth? So it was brought up, but we chose for this one not to go that way.
I got one more.
Yes, sir.
Do you have people on staff that do all the installation and configuration of the electronic switches and stuff, or do you outsource all that?
For capital projects, we outsource. For evergreening, we do it in-house. We are moving towards digital networking, HDMI. So there's Extron just released, I should suggest, they're starting to release more audio video switching without programming, which will help. I can't remember the exact name, but they've got a 4 or 6 input, meaning that you have 4 or 6 laptops, computers connected to one XCOM device, no programming, and by switching the signals, you push a little dongle on the cable, and it'll send it to the projector. So we are looking at less programming and more features.
Do you have a printer in the classroom?
We do not have a printer in this classroom. The only printers we have is it would be in labs. Yes.
So the problem we're having is we get money for the technology, but nothing for the facility. How much, you said $75,000 for equipment, how much did it cost for the rest of the carpeting and painting and lighting?
Yeah, I think the whole project costs, just ballpark, it's about 160 for that one. Yeah, we didn't touch the lighting, which is an issue in that room. We didn't.
160 all in with the equipment, or is 160?
No, that's all in 160.
Okay.
The issue that we had with lighting, which is an issue, I certainly would say, but because we have so many light switches, we can balance the lighting ourselves manually. But yeah, we wish we had at least done something with the lighting, and we didn't need to do anything with the HVAC, just monitor the room. It's an interior room, so it is what it is.
I think we can get into questions